Welcome back to Mental Wellness Evolution. I'm Jeff. Thanks for being here. Today, we're talking about going to therapy. Okay. Now, this is another one of those things that carries an inherent stigma around it for most men. Okay. The idea of, well, I have to reach out and ask for help. I need a therapy. Oh, I can take care of this stuff on my own. But sometimes, guys, we have things that are presenting to ourselves that we might actually need some professional help in order to deal with. Now, I always talk about having good brothers and good friends and those types of things around you, and that's absolutely great if you have those friends. But when you're dealing with things like, PTSD or CPTSD or something like toxic shame and those types of things, it might be very, very beneficial for you to go out and seek some professional help. So first and foremost, we need to get over the stigma that going to a therapist is something that is unmanly to do. It's not absolutely unmanly. It's something that is very, very necessary for a lot of people. And the benefits I received from going to therapy and the insights and the things and tools and tricks and stuff that I've learned have been very, very, very useful for me along my path. Okay. When you're looking to going to a therapist, you don't necessarily have to go and keep going to the same one that you go to on your very first attempt. There's all kinds of different therapists. There's all kinds of different therapeutic modalities. There's different ways that people go about things. You might want to see if you're a man, you might feel more comfortable with a male therapist than a female therapist or vice versa. There's certain factors that you need to consider. So as you go through your first session, if you're not necessarily jiving with that therapist, it's very okay for you to seek a different opinion. It's very okay for you to go to somebody else. You might get a referral in some cases, and it might just not be something that clicks with you. It might be something that, I don't really want to go about it this way. Maybe this doesn't feel right or whatever. But you also have to be open to what that therapist has to offer sometimes. And it can be very uncomfortable being in therapy when you're right off the bat. I mean, it's a totally different experience, and cracking yourself open and being willing to open up and those types of things. It's not necessarily the most enjoyable experience, especially if you're a person that's buried and repressed a lot of things, starting to dig into some of our shameful things and things that we keep hidden and buried beneath the surface of ourselves. To actually bring those things to the surface is not only like terrifying to talk about to people, but it also can bring up some very, very uncomfortable feelings and emotions within ourselves. But therapists are absolutely trained to help you deal with these specific aspects of yourself. Okay. So don't feel like you have to stay with the first guy, but also be willing to, give people a chance, because sometimes you might not feel it right off the bat, but that could be your own inherent discomfort in going into your first session of therapy. Okay, guys. The next thing that's super important when going to therapy is we really need to just be honest with our therapist. We need to just lay it all out there, tell them what we're struggling with, tell them what we're dealing with, tell them the things that have gone on in the past, and be very, very, very honest with you, because they're going to tailor the therapeutic process to what you tell them. So if you don't tell them everything, then they can't possibly help you in ways that they might be able to if you're willing to open yourself up in a way that is incredibly uncomfortable. And I get it, guys. If you've spent 30, 40 years repressing stuff, and you've got, like I said, things like shame and, CPTSD and stuff like that, it can be very, very, very hard to open up and just kind of lay it out on the line. But a good therapist is just trained to take what you give them and utilize that knowledge and turn it around and help them facilitate action plans and ways that you can go about changing and helping you to deal with what's going on inside of you. So in that way, it becomes very, very, very important that we actually are honest with our therapist, that we just tell them what's going on, even our unacceptable belief systems and things and ways we see the world, or maybe ways we've acted that we're not necessarily proud of. We want to tell those things. They're part of the story. They're part of who we are, and we can't integrate these things if we keep them repressed and we keep them buried. And if you're not going to lay it all out there in a therapeutic process, then what's the point of actually going to see a therapist? Okay, they're very trained to help you find your blind spots, to see below the layers of some of the things that maybe are hiding in your blind spots, or aspects of your personality that you're maybe not necessarily seeing. It's part of what goes into the training of being a good therapist. But I said, you have to be honest, guys, brutally honest. Lay it all out there, as terrifying as it may be. And you might find actually that when you bring these things up, and especially with dealing with toxic shame and stuff like that, when you bring those things up to a person and they don't turn it around and like make an attack on you, they just accept you as a person who's actually struggling with some stuff, you will find that that might actually just help you to see that, hey, not everybody's going to see you through the view of that person that shamed you or judged you, or whether it be a parent or an ex-partner or coworkers or friends or whatever it may be. They're going to accept you for who you are and try to help you to move forward into the best version of yourself that you can be. The next thing that's important, guys, when we get into the therapeutic process is like when they give you things to work on, you actually have to do the work. See, a great therapist can give you all kinds of insights and tricks and tools and everything else in that regard. But if you don't actually do the work on yourself, you're not going to go get any results from it. It's just like studying as much as you want about weightlifting and going to the gym, but never actually lifting a weight. You're not going to build any muscle. They're giving you these things for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. And if you do the work on yourself, you're going to get results, hopefully, okay? Now, this isn't always the case. Sometimes we don't jive with the therapist. Sometimes their modality, again, doesn't work with us. So that might be where we have to assess if we're doing what they're suggesting and it's not really offering us the benefits that we need. Perhaps it's time to seek somebody else's opinion. But it's very important, guys, that therapy is not just sold as like a be-all, end-all answer solution to everything. It's going to help you, but you still have to do the work on yourself. And pharmaceutical drugs are the same thing. And I'm not going to say that you shouldn't take pharmaceutical drugs if they're advocated for you. It might be something that's a useful tool that helps you along the way. But we can't accept one thing as kind of our be-all, end-all answer solution for absolutely everything. It's not, I'm going to take a pill and I'm going to be better. I'm going to go do an hour of therapy every week and I'm going to do better. No, we have to go and do the work on ourselves. You think if you go to a therapist 1 hour a week, well, how many hours are in a week? The rest of that time, you're going to be on your own. You're not always going to be in your therapist's office. We have to be willing to do the work on ourselves. We have to accept that, okay, these are the things that I need to work on, that I need to work on changing, that I need to integrate into myself, and I need to get to work on myself throughout the day-to-day experience that I'm having, okay? Nothing's going to change unless we do it ourselves, guys. And I know that myself, like I've gone to therapists and stuff, but the vast majority of my healing, my growth, my personal change, all of those things happened on my own time, on my own accord. Did I gain insights from therapists? Absolutely. But I also had to go about taking what they taught me and integrating it in my everyday life, okay? So those are just some things that are going to help you if you're thinking about going to see a therapist or something along those lines, okay, guys? There's, like I said, work on finding somebody that actually is kind of jives with you, kind of vibes with you. It might take you a few tries to get one that's really, really good. I know I went through a couple before I found a guy that I really resonated with, that I really, really liked. But when I did find that guy, he was very, very good. He was very good to help me. He gave me a lot of stuff to work on, some tremendous insights into myself, taught me some very valuable lessons, helped me see a few things that were maybe hiding in my blind spot too, okay? And don't be afraid too, guys, to go look online for people. Find people who've gone through a similar struggle and look what they did. Try to get some tricks and tools from people along the way. I think I saw an interview with Shaq and they asked him, was like, well, how did you get so good at basketball? And he's like, well, I stole from everybody. I stole that guy's work ethic. I stole his diet. I stole his, studying of film. Take little tidbits from everywhere that you can find them. There's so many little tips and tricks, and in the advent of social media, if you get good social media follows, you can find things that you can just try in your life. You can go follow therapists that are online that you can learn things from, that you can work on trying to integrate within yourself on a day-to-day process. And that's going to absolutely help you along the way. This is very useful for everybody else too, because I understand that therapy is not necessarily an option simply because of the cost for people. So I come out here and I give my stuff that I've learned, but there's plenty of people like me that are out there, but you might have a different experience than I had. So if you can find those people who went through, if you're struggling with toxic shame, go find some people who dealt with it. If you're struggling with PTSD and CPTSD, go find people that dealt with it, or mental health or anxiety. Go find people. Learn from them. There's so much knowledge and wisdom that's just out there in the advent of the internet that you can utilize on top of if you're going to therapy as well. You can still look and learn. And I found the more I search for answers, the more they just seem to fall right into my lap. And it's kind of funny how the universe works that way. So seek out guidance. Seek out that wisdom. Seek out the answers. And I bet you that if you go and start looking for them, that you're going to start finding it, guys, okay? And just remember, guys, if you have to go to therapy, this is nothing to be ashamed of, okay? If you're already dealing with an inherent amount of toxic shame, shaming yourself even more because you need to seek out help is not going to help. We need to offer those aspects of ourselves that we're ashamed of the love and compassion that they need in order us to bring them to light and actually integrate them within ourselves. But the more we bring those aspects of ourselves that we're ashamed of up into the light, the better we're going to be able to integrate them, and the less they're going to affect us on a day-to-day process going forward. Okay, so hopefully that's a few little tips there that can help you if you're seeking therapy, or you're looking at going to therapy, or something that you're thinking about. Just a few things to consider that I think will help you if you get into the therapeutic process. Okay, guys, so we'll catch you all on the next talk. Have a great day.